So this is a piece which I didn't make. Um, it was a gift. So this is pretty difficult to make. Whenever there's like these pieces and the shapes are like that, it takes a lot of practice and skill. So back to how ceramics are made. First thing is you take the clay, and there are many different kinds of clays. This I think is called terracotta, and so you'll have like a small piece of clay, and you have to knead the clay and make sure there's no air bubbles, because the air bubbles, when you put the piece in the fire, the air bubbles expand and the piece actually blows up, and then not only will this piece break, it will also break the other pieces which are in the fire, and those pieces belong to other students, and they get really mad that their piece broke because of somebody else's. So so back to the first step, take the clay, make sure all the air bubbles are out, put it on the wheel like this, and then you spin the wheel really fast, speed, as my teacher Juliana says, like it's a Ferrari at the beginning. So you make it really fast, and you're trying to center it with both hands, and if it's not centered, the piece of clay is going to be wobbly. Once it's centered, it's going to spin smoothly. And then in the middle of the clay you put both thumbs and you go out to open it up. So that's how this happened. Opened it up, and then it's still spinning on the wheel, and then using another technique you bring up the walls. So and as you're bringing up the walls, you have to do it evenly. So the higher you can go, that means it requires more skill. Like cylinder shape, it requires more skill, versus a plate requires less skill, and a bowl requires less skill. But so once you've made a shape, let's say a bowl, now you take this off the wheel and you wrap it up in plastic, put it on the shelf for a week or 10 days, and then you've wrapped it up in plastic so that it can dry slowly, because if you don't wrap it in plastic and you allow it to dry without the plastic, then parts of the clay is going to crack, and then those cracks, when you put this piece in the fire, those cracks will open up and break the piece. So first step is get the bubbles out of the clay. Second, put the clay on the wheel and center it. Third, open up the clay. Fourth, then you shape it. Fifth, taking it off of the wheel can be tricky. Sixth, you wrap it up, put it on the shelf. 7, wait like a week or 10 days. 8, now you have the piece, you pick it up. It's supposed to be like leather, and in that state, then you can clean it up. You can get rid of the edge here, put it back on the wheel upside down, and using various tools you get rid of the edges, and you can hold the tool like this while it's spinning, and you make these lines and so on, and then you so then it's going to look something like this, but it's still it has not been fired. So now step 8, I think it was, now after you've made the decoration or whatever and cleaned it up and written your name at the bottom, then it's going to go in the fire for the first time. So this piece went in the fire the first time, and the bottom of it blew up because there was an air bubble. Same thing with this piece, and both of these pieces have cracks at the bottom. That means there was too much water left when I was making them. I should have dried the bottom of the piece inside here with a sponge. Should have dried it more. But so after the first fire, this piece comes out, and if it survives, if you're lucky, it survives. And then like this one, I made this part, and then I attached the handle. So the coffee cup that you're drinking out of, it looks really smooth and looks like easy to make, but even attaching this handle is complicated. So also this piece has a crack at the bottom. Hopefully it'll survive the next fire. So in the first fire, now after a piece has been through the fire, now it has this ring. And sometimes you look at a piece and you're not sure has it been fired or not, and you go like that. If it has a ring, it's been fired. So now the second step is you take that piece and you decorate it, or you paint it. Let's say you paint it like this, or you so this one, this is just carving before the first fire, so I still have to paint it. So say you paint it like this, so there are various paints and you can decorate. Now after painting and decorating, I think we're at step 11 or whatever. Step 8 is the piece comes out of the fire, and then step 9 is you paint it and decorate it. Step 10 is it goes back in the no, step 10 is now it has to go into the glaze. So once I put it in the glaze, now there are many different kinds of glazes. Some of them have designs and various colors, and then there's one that's clear. So if I dip this in the clear glaze, it's gonna have at the end show the same, basically the same color as the clay. So I dip it in the glaze, and then I have to clean up here again. This is called the foot. When you put it in back in the fire the second time, the glaze, when it heats, it becomes like glass and it flows down, and you have to make this foot, because otherwise the glaze is going to flow down and your piece is going to get stuck to the bottom of the oven or whatever it's sitting on in the oven while it's in the second fire. So that's why you make this foot. This foot is too small, but now anyway, after the second fire, when the piece comes out, and if you're lucky, then your piece is done, and then hopefully all your hard work pays off, and then you could have something like this. So this is a piece that's finished, and that shiny glaze outside. So that's ceramics. It's a lot of work. About 3 weeks to do one piece, and a lot of luck and skill involved. but I highly recommend it. It's good therapy, good creative activity.